Open Waze. Type in your office, look at the route. Now open Google Maps. Same address, completely different route. Waze sends you through some back road behind a strip mall. Google Maps throws you on the interstate. Two apps, same destination, two totally different answers. And you're thinking, well yeah, they're two different apps. Except they're not. Google owns Waze, has since 2013. Same company, same traffic data, same servers. So why are they giving you two different routes? The answer you usually hear is, two navigation philosophies, two types of drivers. And sure, that's true. But that's the clean answer. The PR answer. The real reason is a lot less romantic. And nobody talks about it. Before we get into the ugly stuff, let's understand how these two apps actually work. Google Maps, at its core, is a careful planner. It looks at major roads, speed limits, historical data. Like, this stretch of the I-405 on a Tuesday at 8 a.m. averages 35 miles per hour, and gives you a reliable route. It rarely surprises you. You pretty much know what you're going to get. It's that friend who always takes the same way to work and always shows up on time. Waze is the opposite. Waze is that slightly unhinged friend who knows every alley in your city and goes, trust me, cut through here. The app pulls real-time reports from millions of users, crashes, speed traps, road closures, traffic jams, and recalculates your route constantly, every 30 seconds if it has to. Its goal isn't to give you a good route, it's to give you the fastest route right now, even if that means 3 left turns through a neighborhood you've never seen before. Now at this point you might be thinking, yeah, but Waze uses machine learning, and Google Maps is just basic GPS. No, and that's a myth I see everywhere. Google Maps uses graph neural networks built by DeepMind. The AI lab that created AlphaGo, AlphaFold, and is probably the most advanced artificial intelligence research center on the planet. They published an entire research paper on this. Their system crunches terabytes of traffic data, combines historical patterns with real-time conditions, and predicts what's going to happen on your route 10, 20, 50 minutes from now. Result? They improved ETA accuracy by up to 50% in cities like Berlin, São Paulo, and Tokyo. So both apps use AI. Both apps learn from real driver behavior. The difference isn't the technology, it's the dial. Google Maps turns the dial toward reliability. Waze turns the dial toward speed. Same engine, different settings. Think of it like two cars with the same chassis. One tuned for comfort, one tuned for performance. Under the hood, it's the same thing. Okay, now that we've covered the basics, let's talk about what actually matters. Why does Google spend millions every year to run two apps that do basically the same thing? The nice explanation is, they serve two user profiles. The Sunday driver opens Google Maps. The hardcore commuter opens Waze. Everyone's happy, and that's true. But it's like saying Coca-Cola sells Coke and Fanta because some people prefer orange. Sure. But more importantly, that's two products on two shelves, each bringing in billions. Google Maps isn't a GPS. It's one of the biggest advertising platforms in the world. When you search Italian restaurant on Maps, the top results, those businesses are paying to be there. The promoted pins, those little brand logos that pop up when you zoom in, ads, the business listings, the reviews, the reservations, the get directions to this store button, all monetized. Google Maps is a massive digital storefront with a GPS built in, not the other way around. And Waze has its own model. You're stopped at a red light and a banner pops up. Burger King, 500 feet, turn right. That's real-time, location-based advertising. You're not moving, you're seeing the ad. You're literally a captive consumer. And advertisers love that. Two apps, two audiences, two ad revenue streams. The Google Maps user is the tourist, the guy searching for a restaurant, the casual driver, high-quality commercial traffic. The Waze user is the daily commuter, the person in their car 2 hours a day. Massive, repeated ad exposure. Why merge when you can cash in twice? And since we're talking money, let's talk about Waze's actual model. Because here's the genius part. The product is built by the users themselves. Every speed trap report, every crash alert, every road closed you tap while driving, that's you working for free for Google. And Waze found the ultimate hack to keep you doing it. Gamification. You get points, levels, a little avatar, a leaderboard. You feel useful. You feel like you're part of a community. Except that community is producing data worth billions. Every trip you take on Waze generates your real-time GPS location, your speed, your acceleration, your braking patterns, your departure times, your workplace, your home address, your weekend habits, everything. And Google aggregates all of it to improve their services, sure, but also to feed their advertising machine. If Google knows you're a driver who passes 3 shopping centers every day between 8 and 9 a.m., that information has value, a lot of value. Here's what I'm telling you. You are working for free for a company worth $1.8 trillion, and in exchange, you get a little avatar that smiles at you. Now, is that an acceptable deal? Maybe. The app is free, it works well, it saves you time. But you should at least be aware of the trade, and nobody tells you about it. And look, if it bothers you that Google is tracking every single trip you take, every search, everything you do online, let me tell you about something I actually use. Proton VPN. It's Swiss, open source, independently audited, and most importantly, it's one of the few VPNs that isn't owned by some giant ad company behind the scenes. So your data, they genuinely don't care about it. That's not their business model. Now let's be real, it's not going to stop Waze from knowing where you drive. But for everything else, your browsing, your purchases, your searches, it's a real wall between you and the people trying to track you. And after everything we just talked about with Google, I don't think this is optional anymore. They've got a deal right now on long-term plans. I'll drop the link in the description. It's an affiliate link, so if you go through it, it supports me directly, and it doesn't cost you a single extra penny. Honestly, for the price of a coffee per month, you don't really have an excuse. Okay now, let's talk about something I find genuinely fascinating and that nobody really digs into. What Waze does to actual neighborhoods. See, when Waze reroutes you through a residential area to skip the freeway, you save 3 minutes. Cool. But multiply that by 500 cars, then 1,000, then every single morning, 5 days a week. In Los Angeles, it turned into a nightmare. In 2014, entire neighborhoods in Sherman Oaks and Studio City got invaded. Residential streets built for local traffic, like 50 cars an hour, were suddenly seeing close to 700 vehicles during rush hour. Trucks getting stuck on tight turns on streets with 30% grades. Kids couldn't even walk to school, and the residents lost it. Some of them downloaded Waze just to report fake crashes on their own streets. Fake traffic jams, imaginary road closures, anything to trick the algorithm into diverting the flow. Waze banned them. Think about that for a second. You get banned from a navigation app because you're trying to stop 700 cars from blasting through your street at 7 a.m. LA City Councilman David Ryu asked the city to take legal action against Waze. His words, "Waze has upended our city's traffic plans, residential neighborhoods, and public safety for far too long. And it's not just LA. In Leonia, New Jersey, right at the foot of the George Washington Bridge, the town banned non-residents from driving on 60 streets during rush hour. 60 streets closed off because of an app. Result, traffic went down, but local businesses lost up to 40% of their revenue. In Fremont, California, the city changed traffic light timing specifically to break Waze shortcuts. There's even a name for it now, the Waze effect, and it's a real urban planning issue being studied by researchers. Waze's CEO at the time basically said, if a road is dangerous, it's up to the city to reclassify it. That's not our job, which is technically true. But morally, come on. You've got an algorithm turning residential streets into de facto highways, and your answer is, not my problem? And now the question I've been thinking about for a while. Is Waze going to survive? Because if you look at the timeline, it's not looking great. 2013, Google buys Waze for $1.3 billion. Everyone assumes they'll merge. Google says no, we're keeping both. For 9 years, Waze lives its own life. Independent team, its own CEO, its own ad system, its own community. Everything's fine. Late 2022, Google merges the Waze and Maps teams under one division, Geo. Waze CEO Neha Parikh, gone. Not replaced. Mid-2023, Google lays off a chunk of Waze employees. Waze's independent ad system absorbed into Google Ads, and at every step, Google puts out the same press release. We remain deeply committed to Waze's unique brand and its thriving community. If you followed Google for any amount of time, you know that sentence is corporate speak for we're going to put this thing down, but gently. Google Play Music, Inbox, Google+, Fitbit, Hangouts, Stadia. The playbook is always the same. Buy it, let it live. Absorb the teams and infrastructure piece by piece. Then one day announce the product is evolving into a new experience, which means it's dead. Is Waze shutting down tomorrow? No. The app has 140 million active users. That's too big to kill overnight, but will Waze still be a truly independent app in 5 years, with its own features, its own identity? I seriously doubt it. What Google wants is Waze's data, Waze's user reports, and Waze's features. The app itself? That's just packaging, and when the packaging costs more than it's worth, you throw it away. And look at what's already happening. Speed trap alerts? Google Maps has them now. Incident reports? Google Maps has them. Lane guidance? Google Maps has it. Every single thing that made Waze special is slowly showing up in Google Maps in a softer, cleaner, more mainstream version. They're draining the best parts and letting the shell hollow out. And one last thing. People talk about Waze like it works the same everywhere. It doesn't. Not even close. Waze is incredible in the US, Brazil, Israel, France, places where the community is massive and insanely active. Thousands of reports per hour, volunteer editors fixing the map around the clock, crazy reliability. But open Waze in Germany, Japan, or a Nordic country, it's a ghost town. Few users, few reports, and basically zero advantage over Google Maps. It's actually worse in some cases, because Waze's base map is built entirely by its users. So in areas where nobody contributes, the map can be less accurate than Google Maps, which uses its own satellite data and street view cars. And that's the trap. Waze's entire strength comes from its users. They're the ones reporting, fixing the map, keeping the app alive. But without active users, you've got nothing. You've got a basic navigation app with an ugly interface. And that's a structural problem Waze can never fix, unless it gets as big as Google Maps everywhere in the world, which isn't happening. So, Waze and Google Maps give you different routes. That's true. And yeah, there's a difference in philosophy. Waze is aggressive, Maps is conservative. That's the surface. But under the surface, it's a money story. 2 apps, 2 ad machines, 2 data pipelines. Google didn't keep Waze alive out of love for diversity. Google kept Waze because it prints money. And while you're out there reporting speed traps and collecting little points, Google is harvesting your data, your habits, your routes, and turning all of it into ad revenue. The app is free. You're not. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. Waze provides a real service. But let's stop pretending this is some fairy tale about 2 navigation philosophies. The reality is simpler and way more cynical than that. And if you want my honest take, enjoy Waze while it lasts, because the day Google decides it's cheaper to fold everything into Maps, all that'll be left is the memory of a little blue ghost on your screen. Drop a comment. What do you use? Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps, or something else? And do you think Waze will still be around in 5 years? I've got my answer, but I want to hear yours. If you got something out of this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.